Primarily that I didn't want my family to know.
I don't want people to look at me and think, oh, how sad or how heartbreaking.
You didn't tell those things.
There were so many ways in which I could be discredited that I didn't want to put myself through that. Sometime the next morning, several hours later, and my guy friend was in the bed next to me, and he had no clothes on, and I'd been wearing a dress with leggings, and I still had the dress on, but I didn't have leggings or underwear on any longer, and my necklace had been ripped off.
I know I consented to do things with him and be intimate with him, but I wasn't ready to be completely intimate, and there was a point at which I told him no, and he did it anyway.
Slowly but surely, the few females who were there left, and since it was my room, of course I stayed, and so it was probably myself and maybe 5 guys, and they decided that they wanted to have some fun, and that fun they decided was going to be me.
We were talking and started doing some consensual things, and then it moved into things that were not consensual. And I said, no, stop, and he did not.
Did you tell anyone after?
Not at first. It took a long time.
Did you not want to, you didn't say anything to any of your higher-ups?
No, because it was kind of a culture of, you know, you didn't tell those things, you know. It wasn't really acceptable. And then all I could think about too was I was probably gonna get in trouble, you know, for drinking. Because I'm not sure if I was quite 21 yet.
There were so many ways in which I could be discredited that I didn't want to put myself through that with a justice system that tends not to believe victims and tends to want to give the assaulters the benefit of the doubt.
It was primarily, and I feel like this is a normal thing, it was primarily that I didn't want my family to know. I didn't want people to look at me differently. I didn't want them, if I told everything about me, was going to be nitpicked and judged and pulled apart. And I didn't want to have to defend myself. I didn't want to have to justify why, if I fought hard enough, or if the choices I made before, the choices I made during, and the choices I made after, I just didn't feel like, I felt like it was almost more trauma to have to kind of prove to everybody that I was telling the truth.
I didn't want to be seen as a victim. I think a lot of times, even I feel this way, but you hear stories of women, and it's like, oh my goodness, that's so sad, or how heartbreaking. And I don't want people to look at me and think, oh, how sad or how heartbreaking her story is. You know, I want to be known for all my successes and the positive things that I'm doing, and not necessarily the bad thing that happened to me.
I decided not to come forward for a long time because I was just shamed and scared. But after years of counseling and just coming in contact with so many other women, I felt like I could not be an authentic therapist or authentic self if I didn't start talking about this and sharing my story with other people. But it was hard. It took me like about 20 years.
Still today, I have issues trusting other people. I feel very wary about trusting men in general, particularly men that I do not know.
It immediately affected my self-esteem. I felt damaged. I felt like somebody had taken something from me that I no longer was whole.
It's just hard to, I guess, interact romantically with people now. It feels like I have a lot of baggage.
a partner asked me, he said, "Why didn't you tell? Because you could have saved other women." And I said, "That's not really fair to make me responsible for all the other women. That I had to make a choice that was right for me, and I had to protect myself first and foremost."
If a person, because it's not just a woman's thing, if a person says that they've been assaulted, please listen, even if the details may sound sketchy. Please at least listen.
It's really important that we have these discussions and that we give women the space to be brave and to come forward and to tell their stories. And most importantly, that we believe them.